I'm so excited to welcome Caroline Crawford Patterson and Nicole Pellegrino, co-hosts of Honey We're Home, onto Seeing Other People. Welcome.
Thank you. This is our first time doing a podcast together.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Can we be like
you wanna hold
Cynthia and
hands?
Ariana the whole time and hold hands?
Who are Cynthia and Ariana?
Nikki doesn't love to hold hands.
Oh my God, I can't believe I just said that.
Who are Cynthia and Ariana?
I'm sorry. I take it back. I'm embarrassed.
Wait,
Can we cut
sorry.
that out?
ADHD moment also. Can we just take a moment for your nails?
Yeah,
I'm
they're
just
sick.
No, I've never been more obsessed.
Velvet? I love when we're holding
It's
hands.
so cool.
Oh my God. Wait, okay, you need to tell me how you got that after. Or just tell the
Russian
girlies.
manicure, shiny
Okay.
nails. It's across the street, so you're not really realistically going to come. But other
No, I
people
will.
can.
I will. For that, I will.
It's amazing.
And
That
I
is
want
sick.
this color, but I also want that in red for the holidays.
Yeah.
Is this trending? Because my friend in Atlanta also had those nails, and I was like, oh,
I think they're called velvet.
They're
nails.
called cat eye,
Oh,
but it
cat
looks
eye. There you
velvety.
go.
And I didn't like the name cat eye at first. I'm like, ew, why would I ever want cat
eye nails.
But they
They
look
look
velvety.
So good.
So if anyone can't see, I have these like amazing. I have to sneeze.
They're amazing.
bless you.
Bless you.
This is gonna be so chaotic because I don't feel like we're recording a podcast. We're
Yeah.
just,
No,
like,
I know.
sitting on the
This
couch.
is
This
fine.
was a fun one.
I'm so
Yeah.
excited. Okay. Anyways, before we get into it, I just want to thank you guys for being here. I feel like it's creepy, like how much I know about you guys. And I know we talked about this a little bit when I went on Honey We're Home, which, guys, if you have not listened to me on Honey We're Home, pause this right now, go to Honey We're Home, listen to my episode, subscribe, follow, 5-star rating, all that, and then come back here because we had such an amazing conversation. But you guys were, other than Seeing Other People, my most listened to podcast of 2024.
Which
Which we didn't believe you in.
no, we
for
didn't.
that.
We didn't. Alana's I love this podcast. Like, we're like, okay,
Yeah.
these are just things you
You
say.
No. I actually listen to you guys weekly. So
No,
thank
I
you.
love that. Thank you so much.
Thank
We're
you
just
so much.
Very much like on the same wavelength.
Yes.
I
feel like.
agree. I was telling my friends this morning, I was like, yeah, I'm like not stressed about this at all. I was like, sometimes you really have to prep. Other times you just know it's going to be like fun regardless. And like, these are the things that get you like really excited about what you do.
Yeah.
No, I mean the fact that this is like work right now.
I know.
I feel so lucky.
That's
Yes.
what I saw a quote this morning on Instagram that was like, somebody is dreaming about your normal day, like being
Yeah.
their dream or whatever. I butchered the quote per usual, but I was like, I'm on the way to like just chat with two amazing girlies on a couch and drink Blank Street coffee, which thank
Hell
you,
yeah.
by the way.
Yeah, thank
Of
you.
course.
And-
Yeah, Blank Street, if you're listening to this, sponsor.
No, Blank
Yeah.
Street.
us, please.
Honestly.
Please.
Yes.
Blank Street, give us
A little,
something.
a little Blank Street cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Yes.
Love. Okay. Before we get into it,
Yeah.
can both of you give a little bit of background on not just who you are, but how the two of you came together? Because I can't
Oh.
believe there was ever a world where
I'll do
like
it.
you
Yeah.
didn't know each other.
I looked Caroline in the eye and like spoke to her without speaking. And she goes, I'll do it. And I nodded and I said, yes.
Yes.
Yes, you will. But I'll chime in.
Okay, so before I ever lived in New York, I lived in Charlotte post grad, and New York was the long term goal to move. So when I was getting married, and that is when I started doing like obviously all of my wedding content, and when I grew a following, Nikki was working for Betches Brides and doing social media, and so she reached out to me and was like, "Do you want to do an Instagram takeover?"
So let me, from my perspective,
Yeah.
Caroline was like the wedding girl, but not in a cringy way. Like Caroline was
you.
like the first one in my eyes to like do wedding TikTok. And this was back in what year?
2020,
2020.
2021.
I was hosting the Betches Brides podcast, running the Betches Brides. I was Miss Betches Brides.
Miss
Yes.
Betches Brides.
And
Yes.
that's when I came on the show with you. But yeah, so I was like, who is this redhead girl down in Charlotte? I forgot that you lived in Charlotte when and I was like,
That's
she's
so original. Like
well,
she's
and I was like,
Charlotte.
she's really
she
cool.
Has red hair.
I was like, she's really cool, and she's just like breaking barriers in the wedding world. And I was getting married at the same time, and so of course my attention-seeking ass was like, she's blowing up on TikTok, and I was like, okay, A, I need to like copy that, and B, I need to have her in my life. So I was like, come on, the Betches Brides. Like, I turned Betches Brides into like inviting my friends on the Instagram with me.
And it made it fun.
Yeah.
So I did an Instagram takeover like a day, or yes, it was like a whole day of questions and stories and whatever. And I was like laying by the pool and answering these questions like in video form. And it did really well. And so Nikki DMs me. I don't know at what point she got my number, but she DMs me. She's like, it did really well. And I was like, I'm moving to New York. And she's like, the day you get here, you're coming on the podcast. So I think within the first few weeks that we lived here, I came on the podcast for the first time. And it was like magic. That was the first time we'd ever met in person.
Yeah, like this is when I was solo hosting. Like I had my stint with Jordana, one of the co-founders of Betches, which was great when we were both going through planning our weddings, COVID weddings. That was a whole moment where we got like really close to the audience. But then I was solo hosting and bringing guests on each week. And you just have some guests where like you really just hit it off and vibe. And as an interviewer, like some guests are like so easy to interview because they just talk and don't shut the fuck up. So that was Caroline in the best way possible. And I think the thing that makes a good podcast host or a good guest is when they are very opinionated. Sean from Betches told me this, the head of podcast there. He's like a podcast expert. He was like, you want to have somebody with a very strong opinion, and that was Caroline. Like she kind of didn't care like if and to have a strong opinion in wedding world is bold because people get very defensive over their weddings.
It's bold and it's gold from a content perspective.
Yeah, bold and gold.
Yeah,
bold and gold. I like
a
that.
Marketing genius over here.
So it was literally the first time that we'd met in person, though we were already like friends. Like I moved to New York and I was like, I have a friend and it's Nikki. And so when I went on, we just were like, you couldn't shut us up. We had the best time. And before I even left, Sean was like, you guys are a really good match for hosting together.
Who said this?
Sean said that.
I thought you said John. And I was
No. Sean said this. And we immediately were like, okay, we're coming on. We're going to do this again. So Nikki and I started, obviously at this point, we're like truly hanging out and like we're friends. But we started orchestrating little like plans to like be on the show together as much as possible and like test out our dynamic to see if like we could host a podcast together. This was like a plan from like the second time that I went on Betches Brides, I think.
Yeah, we just felt,
It was a little sneaky, honestly. I don't know if we could say this, but
making me sound like I was like
not from you,
corporate sleuth. No, and here's the thing, like
we were
loved my
strategic
stint there, and like when I left Betches Brides podcast before leaving the whole company, it was like my time, like I had already been married. They brought somebody in an earlier stage in life than me in, and that's when like I did turn to Caroline and I was like, listen, we should start like noodling on the idea of like doing something of our own and something that we can really like oversee and own. And for me, I function better working with others. I love a co-host situation. I enjoyed the solo hosting of it all, but I was like, I just like having someone.
Yeah, you want to have conversations and have it feel like a back and forth vibe.
I also think part of it for us was like, we just wanted to work together. And we had a really good discussions. We had a really good time together. And we just wanted to work together, whatever like that looked like.
I'm just laughing because
Barkley really wanted to weigh in, like couldn't find how to get.
Luring Barkley up.
He's like, Caroline has this pillow in her lap and she needs to move it so that I can go in her lap.
He's like, move over. I'm trying to get to my mom. He's so cute. Why was it? He didn't even bark when I walked in.
I think he got it all out before.
Yeah, he barked for me in a very sweet way. In a like, you're so cute type of way.
Pet while we talk.
He'll get there.
But we did. We sat down and we made a pitch deck and we're like, we're going to start a podcast together. We don't know where it's going to be or who it's going to be with. And we don't even really fully know what we want the concept to be about yet. Is it still going to be weddings? Is it going to be lifestyle? It took us a long time to land on like marriage lifestyle. And we saved the pitch deck for, I'm not even joking, like a year.
Wow.
Like we just had it. And we were like, then one day Nikki was like, okay, I'm ready. And then we just sort of like put the whole thing into motion. But it was something that we dreamed about doing for a very long time. So it wasn't like a flippant thing.
Well, and the cool thing is like I knew like we didn't have to plan content in advance and make it a whole big to do, even though, as you know, it's a lot of work. But because we literally talk all the time anyways. We were literally at drinks last night talking. Like, I'm like, we host a podcast together. We should almost like not go to drinks together.
Right, because we want to save it for the pod.
But like we talk about,
we do that a lot.
What I love about your story is like sometimes I get a lot of questions on how to meet friends like in your 20s, in your 30s when you're moving to a new place. And sometimes we feel like you know, we already know all of our like best friends for life, and it's the idea of like meeting somebody new who can come and like fill one of those roles for us seems so like not possible. But you guys are proof that like you can meet somebody and click and connect and become such a huge part of each other's lives, and I think that's just really like beautiful to see.
I think right now, to that point, and to the people that are asking you questions, sorry, there's been a Louis hair in my lip gloss for the past 10 minutes. I've been trying to get it out. But I think to that point, it's actually like sometimes better to try to just put yourself out there and meet friends in these older stages of life, like later 20s, because they kind of meet you where you are. Like sometimes you're at a very different stage of life and path than some of your high school friends. Not saying you should like ditch them and dump them because you're on different paths, like always keep them. But this stage of life is great, and I'm all about like literally internet friends. Like the internet is there for a reason. Yeah. I've never used like Bumble Friend or whatever, but I think it
works.
I think it would be great if
I also understand that. Okay, I have thoughts on this. I think that a lot of times when I get asked like, how did I make friends when I moved to the state? I understand that I am definitely in a point of privilege, because if you have any type of internet presence, like you're probably already more connected to people that are also online in like different areas that you like know perhaps you would like get along with, and really what you're putting faith in at that point is that that person is going to be as nice as you think that they're going to be, and like respond back to you and actually want to meet you for like a coffee or a drink, and like not ghost you or be rude or whatever. So you're putting your faith in that. But a lot of people aren't. Like, I can't just like DM somebody that I've never met before and don't know that they exist to like be friends. So, but I do think like one of my best friends in the city, John, my husband, introduced me to her because he works with her husband. And they were like, they're going to get along. And so they set up a double date, and we've been like best friends ever since. So you also kind of have to look out for your partner in that way. Like sometimes you meet somebody through a channel that's like not even for you as a friend, but maybe it's like you think that they would get along with your partner, and then you like go out on a limb and you arrange something and you kind of like match make for your partner because you can sort of like see what they would want in a friend as well.
And if you don't have a partner, you should be doing this for your friends. Like
yes. I love a friend hookup.
I'm curious where you guys stand on this, because I think people are on very different ends of the spectrum. Would you be happy if you introduced a friend to another friend and they ended up hanging out without you, or would you not be okay with that?
Okay, her answer is no.
No. Can I answer for myself? Thank you.
I mean, receipts, Nikki.
Here's the thing. Yeah, I mean, yes, I'm a big like merge of the friend groups person. Like literally I will grab, I have a lot of friends in different areas, and it's like one or two. It's never like a big group here. I don't know why. That's how the cookies crumbled. And so I'm lazy. So I'm like, when I want to see all of you, I want it to just like be all at once. Come to me, everybody, come one, come all. So my friends end up becoming friends with each other because they're all really cool people. But my thing is, I just get literal like FOMO if like suddenly I see the two hanging. But you guys are good about like she's referring to my good friend Allie from college, who the three of us have just become like a little girl group. Like we were out at drinks last night, and Allie was like, "What the fuck? Where was my invite?"
Yeah,
we were like, "I was spur of the moment, sorry." But like,
well, not even. It was like literally after an event that we were at together. You know, it's like.
But you guys are good about it, where like you really haven't ever hung out without offering me, and if like you have hung out, it's because I couldn't. But I also really, I'm at this point where if you two hung out without me and didn't invite me, like truly I wouldn't care.
I'm gonna clip it, I'm gonna save it, I'm gonna post it, I'm gonna plush
time.
it.
I think it also depends
I mean, like Allie would agree, our lives have been threatened if we hang out alone.
If you suddenly saw me and McKenna hanging out.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna disagree with you. Because I think that like, and my best friend McKenna too, like it's like the same thing in reverse, but she also says like, she's a great friend matchmaker. Like she's really good at spotting two people that'll be really good friends and loves to like arrange it. And she'll be like, yeah, now they're best friends. And you love it. But then part of you is kind of like, am I being left out of stuff?
Yeah.
I think you can't avoid that little feeling of like being left out of something.
Yeah, I'm always feeling left out.
So I think best practice is you always invite the friend.
I think that.
And if they can't come, it's fine. But just extend the invitation.
Yeah.
What is your thought?
What do you...
love being a friend matchmaker.
Yeah.
And I actually just get so like warm inside when my friends become friends and hang out without me.
That's
very
cute.
big of you.
I think I've always
That's
been this
noble.
way. Similarly, like with you, like my friends are from all different walks of life. Like I don't have like one friend group that like I spend all my time with, but I feel like I have certain friends where I'm like, they would be best friends. Like they need to be become best friends. And I think there are certain friends I have where I would feel maybe, I don't want to say threatened, like, but I would be like, oh, like, are they hanging out and talking shit about me together? But those aren't the friends that I like introduce friends and friends to.
Yeah.
You know, it's
away.
people I feel like really secure with and like really excited for them to be friends. And maybe they're going through something together in a certain stage of life that I'm not in. Like they should be friends.
Yeah.
Well, also it depends, like if they live in the same building or something. Like it's like then no shit. Like introduce them together. I think it all just depends on who.
My thing with friend matchmaking is if you have made an adult friend and you know how good it feels to have a friend that feels like a type of like soul friend or like soul sister, like in this stage of life, you want everybody to have that feeling. It feels really good and it makes you happy to see other people find that.
And for those people that are like, oh, no, I can't have my friends being friends without me, blah, 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 I have to be the glue. Like, what's the alternative? You have a bunch of friends that aren't friends with each other. That's no fun. Because then on your dinner parties and your birthdays and stuff, you want them to be all getting along.
Yeah.
So I guess, But it is like, for us, like jealous Scorpios out there, like, if I suddenly introduced two friends and I literally saw them no invite hanging out, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Fair.
But I also like, Alana, what you said about the phase of life, because I am a huge proponent of like, you can kind of go in and out of closeness with certain friends, especially lifelong friends.
Yeah.
Like
definitely.
I have some friends I've been friends with since first grade, sixth grade, college, like, and I go through seasons of like really not talking to them a lot. And then other seasons where we're talking every other day. Like, and imagine if I was like, oh, I outgrew that friend. Like, I don't really need them around anymore. Like, I don't think that serves you very well. Like, do you always want phase of life friends, or do you want friends that you know will always be there in your phase of life? And when you guys happen to be in the same phase of life, it'll bring you closer. Yeah. And even when you're not, just because you're distant and not talking as much, it doesn't negate the friendship or like the bond or the closeness. And then you have those friends, and then you also get your adult friends that are like an entirely new type of friend, like fully formed personalities when you meet, fully formed goals, ideas, like what they like to do for fun, what they enjoy, like cultural stuff. And then you get to bond with those people. And that's like incredible. And like, I'm going to be friends with you for life. And everybody has a different purpose. And then like Nikki said, when they can all come together and you guys can just get what you need from each other and like almost like piecemeal, like oh, this friend is having a baby and I'm pregnant, and so it's going to be really helpful to get advice from them,
right?
or
to be going through it at the same time, and you never know which of your friends that could end up being.
Ever. Like we're moving to this city, and that friend used to live there or has parents that live there, and now I like, everyone works in like different ways, and we just like can't predict how that will happen.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends who, like I have best friends who I talk to every day, and then I have best friends who like we could go like 2 months without talking. But like if I were to need them at 2 a.m., like they would come running.
Exactly.
Do you talk on the phone to your long distance friends, or are you like a group chatter? Or just like, do you not
both.
talk?
One of my best friends, she was my maid of honor, Julia. She moved to California 3 years ago for her medical school residency. And that's been definitely like hard for us because she's been like my best friend since middle school. Yeah. And she's so busy, but she is so good at putting in the effort.
Really?
And so it's great.
Nice.
It's so impressive. And so like we'll FaceTime for like an hour, like go walk together. Like we'll separately walk our dogs and catch up on the phone.
And my brother and sister-in-law went through residency. Like they don't have time to. They
don't
have that
have
hour.
time.
Yeah,
they don't have.
She really makes the time, and it's so impressive. For the record, didn't plan to talk about any of this, but so glad we did.
Okay, that's how we do. We like derail the whole plan.
Yeah, that is our specialty.
Yes. Okay, I want to give the listeners a little bit of insight into your relationships.
Okay.
You guys both ended up with men that you met in your late teens, early 20s.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
college.
even know.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
And
We're those people.
to also stay together through your 20s, through such transformative years, and,
Yeah.
grow individually, grow together is rare.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear from each of you a little bit, like the TLDR version of your love stories and how you met.
Okay.
Why are you nervous?
No, I don't know why.
She
when you
wants me to
said-
go first.
When you said TLDR,
You're like, I can't do that.
I shuddered because I was like, I can't. Well, I'll go quickly first.
Okay.
So Mike and I met in college. We were in Greek life. We were at this we disagree on how we met. I'm going to tell how I think we met. He has his own version.
I think everybody is kind of like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I forget actually now that I'm thinking, I haven't told this story in so long. I'm forgetting which one we each think, which is like now you can I sound like
You
I'm like a
think
liar.
that
We were drunk the whole time.
I'll tell you.
I think it was either field day or festival.
No, the cafeteria, the dining hall.
You're right. Okay, you're right. Thank you. Wow, you do listen. Okay, so I swear it was in this JMU. We went to James Madison University, which, for context, JMU is like 70% women, 30% men. So literally, if you're a halfway decent looking guy there, you get
You're like a
laid
10.
every
Yeah, you're
5
getting laid,
seconds.
yeah.
You don't even have to open your mouth when you're out at a party to get laid. You just have to stand there. So Mike really was in a frat, took a semester off at one point, it was the whole thing, and came back and was like the hot new guy on campus, in my eyes at least. And so we knew of each other. I swear it was at this dining hall thing. Basically, it was finals week. I was looking so fucking ugly, and I know this sounds like I'm being mean to myself, self-deprecating. I'm not. I'm a shapeshifter. When I have no makeup on, no hair done, and it's finals week and I haven't slept, I truly was looking so ugly. And long story short with that, we were sitting at a table. It was me, Brooke, our friend Tommy, and our friend we saw Mike up in the line. I saw him from afar, and I was like, oh my God, that Mike Freeze is hot. I know of him. That Mike Freeze guy's hot. And
I
Tommy,
love that that's the first thing you ever said about him out loud.
I said something
That's amazing.
probably vulgar too, because I was a slut at the time. And so Tommy was like, oh, I know Freeze. Let me call him over. Calls him over. I'm like, Tommy, don't you fucking dare. Little do we know, I owe Tommy. And so Mike comes over, sits with us, and talks with us. I was eating a chicken pesto wrap. There was pesto in my teeth. I literally
imagine Nikki with braces.
truly was so ugly.
The way she's describing it.
I also didn't
headgear.
speak.
Yes, that is the description that it gives.
Truly, it was that. I was in sweats. I didn't speak the whole lunch because I knew I had pesto in my teeth. I let Brooke and Tommy do the talking. I was a mute. And then after, Mike texted Tommy and was like, I think Nicole Pellegrino's kind of hot. Can I have her number? And it was like, I don't
wanted
know
to lick
how
that
we
pesto
got
right
that.
out of his
Yeah,
teeth.
exactly.
Jesus Christ.
But he says that it was at this field day philanthropy event for his frat or whatever. And it was all these sorority girls there, probably 200 girls. And Mike was coaching my sorority's team or whatever. And basically I thought he was cute there too. I guess I was just a horny fuck in college.
Or you just thought he was cute.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it was both. I was like, I need to get his attention. There's all these girls and 2 guys here. So I was like, how do I get his attention? And there was a musical chairs competition. And I was like, I need to win this competition and beat all these
Nikki
bitches.
took some bitches out.
And I took
things we do for
them
love.
down, you guys. I literally, like a psychopath. I mean, I was drinking the whole time. I was drunk all college. So that's why it's all a blur. But I remember just hitting them out of the way with my butt. And Mike said it worked. It got his attention. And I don't know. We just, so college.
It's giving bachelor group date.
Yeah, it really oh my God. It really is. I'd be the villain on The Bachelor.
That's how I view it as well.
That is what I'm picturing in my head.
And I am just envisioning Mike
trying to get
being
that extra time.
Mike's like, that girl can fight. That girl's tough.
Ew, it really is giving bachelor girl. I like to say I'm a girl's girl too.
You never
but
thought about that?
Until like my man.
No,
is
it really was.
Wait, that's really funny. Well, and then just for
You
context
invented the
too,
group
like
date.
we took forever. We were talking forever. We took forever to actually start dating. I had to like cry to him to get him to like define the relationship. It was a whole thing. And I tell people, I'm like, it's funny that we've like, it's interesting and impressive that we've lasted because the foundation.
That's the tea, folks. Pray for another day.
The foundation was like college. It's not like he was taking me on these lavish romantic dates. He was taking me to like his frat date functions where we'd black out, and everything we'd do was like with his friends. He was obsessed with his freaking friends. So was I. But like he would be like, come over, let's hang out and watch a movie. And then I'd get there and there'd be like 7 men there and him. And I'd be like, okay, I thought this was an intimate thing. Guess didn't realize it was with Jerry and Benny. And so that in a way, I almost feel like, I was thinking about it this morning, kind of worked in our advantage to some extent, because once we graduated and he matured a little more over the years, like we're completely different people now than we were then. Once we graduated, it was almost like we got to like restart and refresh and actually get to know each other beyond just our friends at that point. So it's just interesting. And yeah, we've made it. I mean, he's my rock. We've made it through ups and freaking downs. Like he's just my person. He always has been. And it's just funny because again, we've grown so much together. We're completely different people. I mean, like I feel like I'm dating a whole new guy than I was back then.
Yeah.
Married.
Well, and dating.
You're still dating.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, always be dating.
Yeah.
Do you think, or how do you think you would have reacted if like somebody or like a psychic or something were to tell you when you first met him, like, or when you first started like being in a relationship, you guys are going to get married? Would that have been such a crazy concept to you, or would you have been like, yeah, this makes sense?
I honestly forget. Good question. Wow. This is like forcing me to think back. I think it wouldn't have been that crazy to me because I am a very like strong, passionate person. When I love you, I love you. I think it's because I'm a Scorpio. I don't know. I don't know what my rising is. That's a whole nother story. But I'm just a very like I've always like dated to marry. I'm not. Yeah. I've like slept around and was like a hoe before Mike, but like I would just like fall for guys really easily. And so like I don't know if like we really clicked, I was like,
you were all in.
Yeah, I was all in. I was like, and if I'm out, I'm out. If I'm in kind of thing.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
The Caroline and John story.
Okay, so I actually took a semester off of college. Me and Mike have quite a few similarities, as we like to point out.
The same person. Sometimes.
I took a semester off and I went back to school and I had to retake some classes. The down low on that is like, I did not want to go to the college that I went to at all. Like I got scholarships, thought I was committed to other schools. And then this was like right after the recession. And I hope my mom doesn't care that I'm like airing everybody's business. But like, ultimately they made a financial decision that was like, you got the most scholarships to this school, and because it was in state, like all my state scholarships applied and I had to go.
I mean, I imagine this is one of the more relatable things that's ever been said on this podcast.
Okay, so that's like that. It just was like I came down for her dinner one day and she was like, I sent the deposit to Wofford, like you're going to Wofford. And I was definitely upset about it because they had none, like they did not even have an art program, and I was dead ass going to school for art. So I was like, all right, well, let's make this make sense. And I think my parents secretly were like, maybe like, okay, she can like do that as a hobby and she'll still major in business.
Right.
I'm sure that even if they told me otherwise today, I would not believe them. So I went and I hated it, as I knew that I would. And I had this idea in my head that I was like, if I can transfer if I like don't do well. Like they'll just really believe me, because first semester for whatever reason, I just was like all A's, and I was like, well, they're never going to let me transfer if I'm doing well academically.
Right.
So I actually proceeded to flunk myself out.
Oh my God.
Which is
Katie Heron with Aaron.
I mean, this is the most entitled thing I've ever done in my
This is
entire
crazy.
life.
Yeah.
And it backfired like a
Shocker.
bitch. Like I
Really?
I interned in New York that summer. I had 2 unpaid internships. My mom cut me off. I was babysitting on Friday nights for money. I had to eat $1 pizza every night. I had rashes up my legs the entire summer.
Yeah, I've never heard that part.
It was, but I still wanted to move to New York after that. I tell my little sisters this. I'm like, if you can live somewhere broke, then you can live there. Like,
Amen.
it's okay to try to live somewhere broke because then you really appreciate.
And you know you really want to for the right reasons.
Yeah, like you can't guarantee that you're always going to be like financially stable.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, it was like, I'm gonna transfer, and my mom was like, psych, you're not. I've already talked to the admissions board, and you're going back in the fall.
Oh my God.
She's like, if you want to go to college, you're going back there and you're going to fix what you messed up. So I was like, well, life sucks. Wow. And I went back to school and I didn't want to date anybody there. I just wanted to get in, get out, figure out how I was going to get into art and fashion, but despite the fact that there were no programs, and figure out how I was going to get to New York. And I had no interest in anybody, but I had to retake some of the classes that I failed.
See, everything happens for a reason. I was wondering how you were going to tie that in.
Sorry, so I had to retake public speaking. And John was in the public speaking class that I was retaking because I had failed it. And if I can just clarify for a second, at the school I went to, you automatically get a letter grade deduction if you miss more than 3 classes. It's very easy to fail. Mm-hmm. So John and I were in the same class.
Well, it's also easy to fail when you're trying to.
Yes, yeah, it is easy to fail. Yeah. But if you wanted to, like, you just don't show up. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So John and I were in the same class, and that's how we met. And he like had a little crush on me, and we started talking, and then we started dating. And I think if a psychic had told me that we were going to get married, I probably would have believed them, just because I, like, as a rule, don't really like jive with men. Like, I don't.
No, Caroline like doesn't like men at all.
At all.
Okay.
Like, but neither do I. But like,
Yeah. Your husbands are great.
Yeah.
I just like think that men, and I'm so sorry if this is, but like, you need to prove to me that you're likable. Like,
Okay.
I'm just
mine.
predisposed to like not jive with you.
There's a lot we could get into
No,
here.
like Caroline doesn't. I have guy friends from high school that are like my brothers.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't have guy friends.
I don't have guy friends.
But I sound like a pick-me when I'm saying that.
I don't
I have
guy
like
friends.
2, okay? I'm trying to make it.
I love all of John's friends very much, and I would do anything for them. Mm-hmm. But so when John and I started dating, I was like, I didn't want to date anybody at this school. So I kind of was like, I knew deep down that like that might be it for me. Like, I never really dated for marriage. I didn't feel like dating was worth the trouble because I was so focused on getting out of there, getting to New York, getting a job in something I wasn't getting a degree in. Like, you know, so I was like, what would make it worth it? And with John, I just didn't have to second guess it. I was like, oh, I just really, really, really want to be with this guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So whatever. And I told him like day one, I want to move to New York. If that's not something you're interested in, because we're in a small school in the South, like, don't even bother dating me. And we did break up after college for like 6 months.
Why?
Oh.
Yeah. John broke his neck playing
God.
football. That was hard. And that's kind of like everything sort of spiraled from there. I spent most of my senior year like rehabilitating him. And it was worth it, obviously. And I just sort of lost my senior year. It like made it really difficult.
You resented.
Yeah,
we were talking about this last night.
We were talking about this last night. It put a lot of pressure on our relationship. There were like very adult things happening to us that we were not mature enough to handle. But we are both oldest siblings, and we both thought like we were.
Yeah.
So we were kind of like cosplaying that we could figure it out, and we couldn't. And we started fighting a lot, and we could not communicate our emotions, and it got really toxic and really bad. And we ended up breaking up, and that was really difficult because at this point I'd already known that I thought I was going to marry him. So I was like, and all of my friends were like, we're just confused because we really feel like you guys are getting married. Yeah. So we were like, where do you go from here?
Sometimes you need a little break, though.
And I think that really shaped who we are now. When we met in college, I will tell you, we really did not have anything in common. We both loved our friends, like we loved our families, but like hobby-wise, we didn't have anything in common. We just were like felt safe with each other and it felt like home with each other. It was like the non-explainable thing of like, that's my person.
Well, I love that because so many people believe you have to have a million things in common
No.
in order to work
No.
out, and that's not true.
please.
Bro,
no.
we're literally so young to this day. I don't think my interest today will be anything like my interest at 60, and I hope I'm married to the same person.
I have a question for both of you because we were talking about this last night. When you first met your people now, there's like 5 qualities that like
I
you
figured out
need
the 5th.
one of them. Oh, what? Okay.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
5 qualities in a man, and like one of them is always so much most important to a girl.
Okay.
It's either like my one friend needs intelligence.
Okay,
Like,
you've got to list the 5 though.
Okay. So intelligence, like that's like you need him to like wake up on a Saturday morning and be reading an almanac. 2 is like funny
Humor.
and fun and but makes you laugh. Like you're like silly, unserious laughing. 3 is looks.
I think it's
4 is charisma.
Yeah, we said
Riz.
which is tough because it's kind of close to
Funny.
Yeah.
No, but humor and riz are different things. A guy can be funny but like not have riz.
Yeah.
They're different things. It's magic when they work together.
Because someone could have
Yeah.
like such dry humor.
Yeah, like it has to be your type of humor.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the 5th thing is the unexplainable. Like it is the like cosmic draw.
Yeah.
That's the 5th thing. Like you have to have that.
No, but that kind of like overlaps them all. Because last night we were talking
It
about
does,
this.
but it's the
We were like, what's the fifth?
unidentifiable.
Yeah.
It is the unidentifiable. I was thinking about this laying in bed. I was like, somebody could have all of those things. A lot of people do and not have the 5th thing and they're not your person.
Yeah. So
is
what
so
is
interesting.
what is yours? And are we missing any? We just made up this like.
Oh, you made
list.
this up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
This
we've
is
made
like
it up.
a random theory. But like my one friend, because my one friend was like, I need him to be smart, and I'm like, what the? I don't need smart. Like Mike is very smart, but like I don't need you to wake up and read on a Saturday morning.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I think this is where people get in trouble with checklists because they think they need a certain thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're looking for that on dating apps. They're
Yeah.
looking for that on first dates. But maybe they meet somebody in the wild and have this deep connection with them and then find out, oh, they actually didn't go to an Ivy League school. And that's something I really
No,
care
that
about.
stuff annoys
See,
me.
I would never care about an Ivy League school.
And like I have a friend in particular I'm thinking of who like she is one of the smartest people I know, and
Yeah.
she always wanted to be with somebody who was so smart and could have these like intellectually stimulating conversations and who loves to read, and like she ended up falling in love with somebody who she never would have expected to be with and like would never have swiped right on an app for or wanted to be set up
Yeah.
with. And I think we really get ourselves into trouble when we stay so tight to a checklist. But I
agree.
like this theory.
No, I like that though.
It's a theory about
the checklist.
It's a theory about the person that you're in love with meets
Yeah.
you there on those things. But you can't I don't think you can search it out in
Yeah.
somebody. Like I think you have to let the chips fall there.
Yeah.
I think for me, I guess it would fall into the unexplainable.
Yeah, same.
But it's more like, I think the word that I would describe it as, and maybe we make it into 6, is like the comfort. Like
Yeah.
Jake
Oh.
is like my comfort
Stable.
zone.
Safe.
Yeah, stability. Like he's my like safe
Woman-
place.
yeah.
Like no matter where I am in the world, like I would be equally happy just being on this couch with him and Barkley. And like those are my favorite moments.
Those
love
are the
that.
things you also can't change. And I think that's my number one tip in people that are like still dating, because people I have noticed at our age now, people are like, okay, I'm a fully formed adult. You're not really. Like we're on a curve. Like maybe in our parents' generation, they were fully formed adults at 30, but now we're seeing that generation also like come out and be like, they're rediscovering themselves.
Right.
Oh, I liked to paint and I never knew that. And it's like, they're really just now discovering who they are. So like none of us are really fully formed. Anything's bound to change at any moment. You should be with someone where you're like excited to see how their interests change.
Yeah.
I was like pumped to see the type of adult John was going to be. I also knew that like our relationship could only get better because as we were put into this like world outside of school, we would be able to like kind of create these interests that either we did have in common or didn't have in common, but they would be like really representative of who the other person were, and then it would cause each person to be like more fulfilled on their own and happier, and then like a better partner, and to see how they mature.
How did you guys come back together after that 6-month break?
We really spoke like every week while we were broken up.
Okay.
It was really difficult to be broken up. And we also make decisions very differently. I was like, I already feel like we're going to get married. His grandmother felt that, like all of our parents felt it. He like was not so sure, and he's like a really slow decision maker. And then once he's like made a decision, you like couldn't change his mind for like the rest of his life. And so he was super like bogged down about how are we going to get past the fact that like we don't know how to like have productive communication or argue without it getting like loud and toxic. And I think I was like, just have faith in that. Like we have to like be together to like work that out. We know we want to be together. So let's be together and then we'll work it out. I had to stop pushing him to like do it my way. And I eventually just cut off all communication, which is the one thing they tell you to do and that we like never did. I was like, I can't talk to you anymore. Like I have to just focus on what's best for me. And I have to have faith that like, if we're meant to be together, you're gonna figure out what you're battling with on your own. And you're going to come back to me. It had gotten, if anybody's ever been there, it got really complicated. Like certain things came out of the woodwork for him where he was like, we're in an interracial marriage. He's like, well, I have like concerns about this. And I'm like, what do you, and to this day, he's like, that was never really the issue. But you just start second guessing yourself. And so you're starting to get concerned about like, it just
Every little thing,
snowballs.
yeah.
Yeah. And you have to get back to like, what is the issue? Like
That's a lot of like introspective thinking for two people recent grads of college who are so young.
John
like,
wasn't
were
even
not
graduate. John
thinking
was
that
a
deep.
year younger.
Yeah,
John
no.
was a senior in college.
Mike wasn't having that sort of introspective thoughts at that age.
but I didn't have answers to those things. You know,
guys
I was
were
like, I
doing,
just tell you
deep
how I
work
feel
at a young age.
I mean, we're like emotional people, and I was like, I just can't talk to you anymore. And I think 2 weeks went by, and then for him, his moment was like after a game. At this point, he was coaching because he couldn't like play anymore. After a game, I guess they like had a big win, and like all he wanted to do was like talk to me and like call me, which for the previous 4 or 5 months, even being broken up, like he would and could have because we were still talking, but I'd like cut communication. And he knew that if he was going to like call me, that it was going to be like because he wanted to like
share news,
be with me.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so that was his process, I think, of being like, I can't like live without her, or like I could, but it's not the same. I really don't want to. And my process happened earlier, and that was a huge learning lesson for us, which is when you're really young and you're both maturing and you're two different people, you're going to experience even the same events very differently, and you just have to hold space for each other.
Not hold space.
You have to be able to do it. And then that has helped us.
Do you hate that phrase?
Yeah.
Yeah, she hates it.
Now, whenever somebody says hold space, ever since the Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo thing, I'm like,
the holding space for.
Yeah, for defying gravity. I'm like, I can't look at that saying the same.
Fair.
Like, I don't even really know what it means. But
Okay, you gotta Google it. But yeah, that was that. And then the rest sort of just. John is like my favorite adult. Like we literally have more in common now than we did when we met. And as we've changed, we've somehow grown closer together. Like we independently allow each other to have like new interests and stuff, and then we'll sort of come together. And I like to do this thing where like every 6 months I'm like, okay, what's your favorite food right now? Like what's your favorite color right now? Like
get to know him still.
Yeah, like I want to re-get to know you. It's exciting.
Like, in a long-term relationship, I think it's so, especially like one that you meet the guy in college, I think it's so important to be able to like identify and note that they're going to change, but as long as you see them changing for the better, like Mike, for example, everybody's like, did you know what your future would look like? Like, no, but I saw in him that he was so determined, that he had really good morals and values, that he would like do anything to one day like be a provider. Same in me. He saw that stuff in me. So like I didn't know what Mike was going to do. He doesn't come from money. Like he doesn't come from a trust fund, anything like that. It's not like I would, but I saw in him these qualities and values that I knew would one day make a good husband and make a good partner.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important. You touched on like having your own separate kind of like hobbies, lives, things, but also being able to come together. Like that's so important as you're meeting in college and then growing together is just like have your own. That's always been my biggest relationship advice. Have your own life outside of each other, but also be on the same team, be on the same page.
Well, don't take it too far. Sometimes people are to take it too far and they're like, I have my independent life. I'm not ready to give it up. Like, you should be more than happy to bring your partner into your life.
Right. Well, it's exactly what John felt where, you know, he had this amazing thing happen. He wanted to share it with you.
Yeah. Like, you should not ever feel like this is mine, don't touch. You should be like,
See,
I will
disagree.
share.
I disagree.
Well, with your toothbrush, maybe, but
No, but with some things in your life, I think it's healthy to be like, all right, this is where I go, just me and just this group of friends or whatever.
Yeah.
But then come together and like, because as you grow throughout your 20s and you're with somebody, you literally merge into one being. Like,
okay, yes.
And it's so easy to lose yourself in a relationship if you are just becoming like dependent on each other. And so I think like it's important to go off and do your own thing once in a while, but still prioritize your partner and put them first and like do things together. But I don't know, just like have your own hobbies. That also makes you way more of an attractive like person all around.
I agree. I think what I'm saying is you really don't know where life like is going to take you. So you should always be willing to jump in. Like, don't ever be too good to like participate with your partner in what they're interested in. Like, should they ever need you? Like, for example, we moved to New York. We did not go to a school where a lot of people moved to New York after school. We did not know anybody. John loves to watch games with his friends on Saturdays. And when we lived in Charlotte, if his friends were all out of town, I'd be like, I'll go watch the game with you somewhere. And he's like, no, like, it's not the same. But he always knew that, like, if he needed me, like, I would go with him. And I didn't really want to go. Like, that's not my thing. It's not my vibe. But, like, I would be willing to, like, give him company and do that. And, like, I know that that's a fill for him over the weekend. So, like, let me help you if you need the help. When we moved to New York, no friends here. It's like everything is such an adjustment, and all of a sudden you only have each other. So like I'm not too good to go.
The city forces you together.
So I was like, and then John would be like, I guess one day he was like, would you like want to go like watch games with me somewhere Saturday? And I'm like, yes, I will. It is not because I want to. It's not because it's something that fills my cup, but it is something that like fills your cup. And right now in this phase of life, if I'm not going to be down to do that with you and help you fill your cup, then like you're not going to get to do it at all. And I don't want that.
And it has to be reciprocal, you know? Like you have to, like if you go watch games with him, then he's got to go to a fashion event with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think you can also surprise yourselves by enjoying some aspects of that. Like maybe you don't want to watch the games, but maybe
Figure
you're
out
so
how to
excited about
enjoy
like the wings that you're going to get when you're there.
Yeah. Or I'll be like, I start planning like cute little like sporty outfits.
Yeah.
Like you can so get into it, and then they feel supported and they feel loved and they feel like you helped carry them when they needed you, like in an in-between time. And like now he has like 10 guys he can go watch games with, and he's like, are you coming? Like, do you want to come? Like, and if I ever said no,
ahead, babe.
yeah, like if I ever said no, he wouldn't care.
Right.
And when I say yes, it like adds to his fun.
Yeah,
So like you should. I love having different interests. I also love people not being like, yeah, that's not my thing. I'm not doing that with you. Like I don't like that. Like if your partner needs you, then you shouldn't be too good to like do it with them.
Absolutely. What do you guys think has been your biggest like expectation versus reality of marriage?
Oh, we love this question.
Oh, wait, that's a good question.
I can go quickly because mine is more like surface level. I felt like, because I always wanted to live in New York, I was like, when I get married, I am going to have like moved to New York. I'm going to have this career in fashion. I'm going to meet some guy. I'm going to like, I was like living in a rom-com, which to be fair, my life right now is something that I dreamed up. But I just envisioned myself, in that place where you're like in a huge penthouse at 30. Like everyone has so much money at 30. Like this is like Bride Wars. Like Kate Hudson lives in this huge penthouse and gets married.
It's crazy because that's what we watched on TV.
Yeah.
Like, everyone had these insane apartments and could like afford all this shit.
I thought that.
Yeah.
I was like being 30 and getting married, which at the time I thought like I would get married at like 30. is having a huge New York City apartment with this crazy life, and you're taking black cars everywhere, and like no concept of how much money that was going to cost. I just sort of was like, being married is like having everything all together lifestyle wise, like having a
3 kids by now, a house in the beach just to go to in the summers.
I thought it would
ain't
feel
that.
differently, like a different, not even monetarily, just like you would feel like an adult, like the type of girl that only wears pointy toe, patent leather pumps, and like really long trenches, and like you're just so sophisticated.
That is true. Like you would, like marriage equals you're an adult. Like I still feel like I'm
a
lot of
child.
maturing to do.
Yeah,
I am a
kid.
child.
And yeah, I guess like I thought like I expected marriage to be like easy in a sense. Like we'd always be like wearing lingerie, jumping down each other's throats. like wifey.
Wait, that's
like I'd be
gold.
like waiting at home with a apron on and nothing underneath, with a soup stirring on the stove.
That's
I
gold.
guess, like, I didn't realize that like long-term relationships and marriages like this really do take work.
That's
And
such an interesting take from someone with divorced parents.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It really
They
is.
take work. Like I don't know. And like it's not all sunshine and rainbows, as you guys know. Like the sex isn't always perfect. Sometimes you have lazy, boring sex. Mike's gonna kill me. Like I don't know. Not me like saying like, because literally
You're doing great. Keep going.
Last night we had like not obligatory sex, but we had, you know, there's a difference between like really fun, amazing sex and just like sex, you know?
Yeah, like doing it because you feel like you should.
Yeah, like last night at literal like 11 p.m., we both like wanted it and we didn't feel like we should. It's not like we were like, make a baby right now, because that'll really do it to you. But I don't know. It was funny because I was like, this is just sex, you know? Where's the fun? But then again, like all the time we have fun. But I don't know. That like that's an example of like it taking work. Like it's not always going to be perfect. And I guess I kind of was I was picturing like I Love Lucy and it's not like that.
Okay, what's yours?
Ooh. I think the biggest thing now, you know, me as a wife expert
Yes.
of 5 months.
That's
I
all
mean,
it takes.
Nothing really changed. Like,
Yeah.
there was no
Nothing changes.
adjustment. I think, and I know I talked about this on Honey We're Home, but I think the biggest thing for me was like where I am right now, like physically this apartment, like I planned to live here for 8 months. And then Jake ended up moving in. I'm now on my 4th year here. And like, I never expected, like, this is the home I would come home to, like, after getting married.
Yeah.
And I think I still don't feel like an adult.
I know what you mean. Like you picture having like the KitchenAid in this giant kitchen mixing up. That's kind of how I felt.
Yeah.
But
I
like,
think we all were given that.
Impression.
well, and the issue is I feel like we're all like, I always want more. I'm always comparing myself to others. It's something I work on, but I see other people in these gorgeous things and I'm like, shouldn't we be there? Oh, I just turned 32. Mike just turned 34. Like I compare ourselves to other 32, 34-year-olds and I'm like, we're behind. But then I'm like, no, look how far we have come. And look at like 3 years ago, Nicole and Mike would be so impressed and so excited for where we are now.
Also,
like,
we're being graded on a curve. COVID subtracts 3 years from your age.
Yeah.
Everybody should always remember that. Don't for a second forget it. You're
Only
actually
27.
29. You're 27. I'm 27.
yeah.
And then now reassess.
Yeah.
And then that'll make you feel a lot better.
it does. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be people who have more or are further ahead. And it's like, we also have to remember, like you said, like this is where we would have like dreamed to be. And there's so much else going on and so many other things we've accomplished that we should focus on and be proud of. But yeah, I think that's really my biggest thing is like, I think I expected to feel more like an adult and I definitely do not.
It's like my thing now with marriage is like you don't ever perhaps ever feel like an adult, because I think that I'm just over 3.5 years in and I feel the same as when we got married 5 months in terms of like the kid thing. And when I go home and to his house or my house, it's like it's kind of like if you want to be treated like an adult, like act like one. I enjoy like hanging out with his mom or like parents or whatever, and sort of like still being the kid in the situation.
too.
Like I enjoy the lack of certain accountability and obligations.
For sure.
So why am I going to whine about the other things?
I don't want more responsibility.
I don't want it. And so it's kind of like, okay, I thought it was going to be this way, but it's almost nice that it isn't. Like, I almost appreciate that, like, our parents are still kind of like treating us as just getting on our feet versus having this like world of expectation of us because we're married, or that our other friends are in the same phase of life. Like, there's already enough pressure. It's like, I don't want people to add a level of pressure because it's like you're married.
That's the thing. Like, we have to be responsible in so many areas of our life already. So I think like I personally, like, in my marriage or not, I don't think I'll ever feel like an adult, even like, and I think that's fine and that's fun. Like, I always want to have that like fun younger energy about me. And yes, I will become an adult when it comes to like caring for others, my future children, my dog, like my husband. I'll become responsible and more mature in a lot of areas, but like deep within my heart, I'll always be a child.
Yeah, I think it's funny to think about, like, when we were kids, we just assumed like our parents knew exactly what they were doing and had it all together. And like, we're now getting to that age and we have no idea what we're doing. And when we do have kids, we're going to have no idea what we're doing at all.
And we're going to make mistakes and we're going to fuck up. And my favorite thing now that I'm realizing as I get older is our parents are doing life for the first time. We literally, I used to put mine on such a pedestal. I still think both my parents, my mom's no longer with us, but I still think they're both the most perfect human beings, my favorite people on planet Earth. However, they are so imperfect, and I'm seeing that now, and it's been such an awakening. But I'm like, they're doing life for the first time. They haven't done this thing before. They don't know what
they don't know.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
I think the way that I have started to approach that kind of like idea of what I thought it was going to be, like everything just sort of like shifted and is like sophisticated and you're like done, you've got everything figured out, is like, you really, marriage takes seriously. Like, you really should take marriage very seriously, but that doesn't mean you need to take life too seriously. You can do one and the other at the same time. Like, I don't think that you have to have a stick up your ass about life and not having fun and like this need to grow up immediately and do this so you can like prove to people that like you're an adult in order to be married. Like, you can take your marriage very, very seriously and then also sit on the couch with your partner and be like, bro, you're my best friend and we really don't know what we're doing. Like, at the end of the day, we'll take this very seriously and we will always prioritize it, and we will have the conversations and the arguments and maybe sometimes even the fights that we need to have to make sure that we're like growing and holding each other accountable and like being the best partners we can be. And we'll have the serious life conversations. But then when it comes to like the other stuff, like, we're going to enjoy it with each other. Like, let's just have fun. Like, we live in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment, and that's great. And if we have to figure out how to bring a baby home here, then we will. Like,
enjoy the process.
You just don't take it too seriously.
And trust the process. Mike always says that because it's some sort of like Philly sports athletes saying, and that's
like
like
Alana's
his favorite
believe sign.
sign.
My believe sign.
Believe.
I believe. I can't believe we've only seen 3 episodes of Ted Lasso.
I know.
Get
what
out
the
of here.
hell?
We could go on for hours and hours and hours. We're gonna have to do this again.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, we need to make this a quarterly thing.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Done.
I'm so down.
Decided. Official.
I love
Great.
it.
Before I let you guys go, first of all, we need to acknowledge the fact that Barkley like burrowed himself under these pillows over here.
He's under there.
Yeah, he's under there.
literally under there.
Look, he's so cute.
What he's doing.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Hi, Barkley.
But I have one final question, and that is, what is the best piece of dating or relationship advice that you've ever received or have to give?
Dating or relationship advice? I thought you were going to say life advice because I like that.
You can do that too. Life advice. Let's hear it. Life advice.
Well, I'm going to give 2.
Great.
Because I love to fucking hear myself talk. Okay, so dating advice, cliche, we've heard it time and time again, but it's so true. Never stop dating each other. And flirting. I think like put in the work. Don't tune each other out. That's like when Mike and I are at our best, it's because we are both like making the extra effort to plan a fun date night, to leave a little cute note for each other, to be just cute with each other. I don't know, like just like pretend it's like your first month and you're trying to impress him, like go like, and vice versa. He better be doing that for you. So never stop dating. Physical intimacy is super important for me, as well as just like emotional. Communicate. I don't know. I could go on forever. But, and then life advice, I think like just, you said this earlier, it's my favorite thing is like, don't take life too seriously. Like we are all just, life is so hard and it's meant to be hard. And I guess like you can apply this to your marriage too. You've done hard things. You can handle the hard things. It's gonna make me cry. Am I okay? I always
You're
do
doing
this.
great.
But like, yeah, I mean, you've done hard things before. So when hard things come about, you can handle it and be on each other's team throughout that. Like you are going. Oh my God!
I see the tears. We have a lot of tissues in this household.
You are going to face hard things together. You just are. Everybody is going to, whether it's death, whether it's infertility, whether it's divorce, whether it's whatever. As long as you're trying to like be a team throughout that with your partner, then just be on each other's team. Being teammates is the most important. I sound like a literal relationship cheesy book right now.
So.
But yeah. Oh, and also just like make bad and good decisions. My dad gave me this advice when I went off to college. Make you're going to be faced with decisions throughout life. Make mostly good ones. And I love that.
What else? Keep going.
Yeah.
No, I love this woo-woo shit.
Okay. I don't have
Getting emotional.
I don't have a like life advice and dating advice, but I have like dating advice and then relationship advice like separately.
What she asked. Cool. I went rogue. I got real.
Cool.
Literally what she asked for.
Okay. The dating advice is, this might be terrible advice, but don't come for me. But give the guy that icks you out like a chance. Like the guy that's too nice to you, give them a chance. Because I have a theory that it's like, it's not even a theory at this point. It's been 10 years. It's proven itself pretty well. Guys start high and they level out with effort. Girls start low and then they increase before they level out with effort. When it comes to like significant others, girls are apprehensive towards people that they like feel romantically interested in. And the more that they like somebody gains our trust, the more we like give for them, the more like we become loyal. Guys know what they want and they are not scared to like go get it, and they'll try really hard. And eventually it's kind of like, that's just, it's not because of lack of interest, it's just not sustainable because they're sort of giving it 150%, and then eventually you're going to find out what hopefully their 100% is. I wouldn't want to say like 100 to 50, like I need 100%, but because of that, sometimes the guy that is really nice to you like it icks you out because they're like too nice
And you're not used to that.
and you're not used to
we
it.
love the nice guy.
So-
They're the secure ones.
But John was too nice to me. Like, don't do the bad boy thing, because remember, them being sort of disinterested or too cool for school is their 150. You don't even want to find out what their 100 is. So like the guy that icks you out, just know he's not always going to be like that. If he sends you 45 emojis in the first text message, just be like, that's a little too much, but we'll
Match
chat.
his freak and send him 46 back.
You know what? But like it could, that was my experience. Like
Yeah.
it was a little freaky, and I was like, that's a little too much for me. Like, I don't know if it feels fake. I don't know if it like what it is, but it just was too much for me. And it does level out. Like if their 150 is a little too much for you, the odds are their 100 is just right for you.
I love that.
Okay.
I really like that.
Okay.
I feel like I experienced that too in the beginning with Jake, where like when our third date, he ended up he worked on the weekends at the time, and I wasn't supposed to be there, and I ended up like, I was supposed to be on vacation. I ended up coming back early, and he was like, well, I'm supposed to be working tomorrow, but I'd love to take you out. Let me like see if I can get someone to cover my shift. And I remember asking my cousin, I was like, is that like too nice, like too aggressive? And she was like, no, like that's so thoughtful and sweet. I'm like, that really is. You're right. Like this guy like wants to see me so badly that he's going to take off work to take me out. And it was
I feel
so
like
thoughtful.
that was you maturing though, realizing that
Yeah.
that's actually hot. Because like
Yeah.
old Nicole would have ran, but like mature, like self-confident Nicole would have liked that.
Right. Like, isn't that what you want? Someone to put you first?
Yeah.
And they can't always do that. Like he's not going to be able to get someone to cover his shift every
day.
Sunday for the next 3 years. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But he's showing you what his 150 is.
Yeah.
And maybe it does feel aggressive, but remember that his 100 is something you could live with forever.
I love that.
So that's my dating advice, because I think a lot of times I see my friends go for people that I'm like, bro, like
they're so nice. Like
the bar is
yeah. Or
the opposite.
on the opposite, they'll
Well,
go for
and,
someone where like what they're giving now is what they want every day, and then when the relationship like progresses and their energy drops off, they hate it.
Yeah.
And then my relationship advice is never be too good for other people's problems, which is what I live off of. Like a lot of times as a couple, you'll see somebody going through something, or you'll hear another couple talk about it, be like, that wouldn't happen to us. So when that couple is trying to be vulnerable and transparent with you about do this or make sure you do this or whatever, or maybe you're just seeing them go through something, never, ever, ever, ever be the person that is like crazy. Like that would never happen to me though. You have no idea.
People
listen
can
to them,
change.
be preventative. If
Learn
someone
from them.
says they're having a really hard first year of marriage and they say do premarital counseling, which I always recommend to people, do it, because you have not been in their shoes yet. You really don't know, and all that it can do is help. Like always take other people's advice for that type of stuff. Like you're never too good for any other couple's problems. So like really have those conversations. If you see somebody like going through something, be like, okay, what do we think could lead to us having that problem, and how do we prevent it, and like role play it out.
Yeah. I love that. Great advice, you guys.
Yeah, wow, we got
mic drops all over.
Down on that.
This was amazing. I do not want it to end, clearly, but we have to.
Yeah, sorry.
Where can everybody find you guys, and where can they listen to Honey We're Home?
You can find us at Honey We're Home Pod on Instagram, and
Anywhere you listen to pods.
anywhere you listen to podcasts. Honey We're Home, and you can find me at Caroline Crawford Patterson.
And me at Nicole Pellegrino.
Yay!
Yeah.
We did
Thank
it.
you.
Only some tears.
Yeah.
and shocker, we have to pee again.
Yeah.
Me and Alana are gonna fight
And
over the
we're
bathroom.
out.
We have bladders like a grandmother.